My name's Michael Render. They call me Killer Mike. And this is Conversate. I just want to conversate. I just want to conversate with you. I want to convert. Conversate.
I don't trust the government.
I've heard you say that.
But
I heard you say to a group of children, the justice system is unjust.
that's true. But I do it because of history. I do it because the reason we're all here in America and the reason people are knocking down the shores to get into America is because of the foundational principles of America. We're birthed on we don't trust government and people are free. And that's how I look at my clients. The government's charging them. I don't trust the government. People are free. That's how I look at my clients. They're going to stay free.
I just got to go to law school and pass the bar. I tell all these guys this for free every day. And I think it's because I talk to people like you, talk to people like Chief Judge Osher Jackson. You know, I fell in love with civics and what this country potentially could be and what we're supposed to be because of a tyrant. Her name was Miss Ellison. And I say it fondly because she was round as a beach ball. She had a peg leg. She taught at Frederick Douglass High School, and she walked like this. And I remember my first day in her class, and she said, what's your name? And I said, Michael Render. I was being loud and rambunctious in the back of class. And she said, no, what's your mother's name? And I said, Drusella Cluntz. She said, I said, but they call her Nisa. She says, go ask your mother about me. So I go home, and I call my mom because I'm raised by my grandparents. I call my mom, say, you know a lady's name? Miss Ellison. Mom says, well, she says, hey, I got some advice. I'm like, what? She says, you shut the fuck up and you sit at the front of the class. And I'm like, what is this? My mother had failed civics class because she got sass with her. The woman, she laughed because she said, I'll just go take it again in summer school. She said, no, I'll see you again before you graduate. She made my mother come back senior year and have to pick up that class. Even though my mother took it in summer school because she was an absolute tyrant. But she was determined to teach us law and order. And the way she did that was she was the opposite of what this republic is. I sat at the front of her class. The next day I came and she said, you talked to your mother? I said, yes, ma'am. She was sitting there with her hands on her stomach. She said, oh. I said, what'd she tell you? I said, she told me to shut up. And I should sit in front of the class. She said, well, come on up. I sat in front of that lady's class, but by the time she had taken us through the Bill of Rights and the United States Constitution, and by the time I understood that this classroom was a tyranny, this classroom was a dictatorship, this classroom was not the Republic of Democracy and Freedom, I understood how valuable that was. She really was the first person through her tyranny and loving tyranny, but still tyranny, who made me understand how different this country could be in matters of your First Amendment. Your right to assemble, your right to protest government, your right of press, freedom of religion is important. Second Amendment right is one people know me to be big on, but I'm big on all the others too. The only one I'd like to change is the 13th because I still think it makes excuse for slavery in this country. I think we could tighten that one up and do a better job. But when did you care? Most kids don't give a shit about the United States Constitution. They don't know to distrust government. I'm a black kid in America. It's pretty easy to get me to distrust government, but you're not going to show me most heterosexual white guys in this country that distrust government because the government has worked more than not for them. But you having that unique perspective is part of what bonded me to you. Like, this guy really is a freedom fighter of sorts. So when did you start to and begin to distrust government?
I never saw the power of locking up people, mass incarceration. I didn't see that growing up. I grew up in Queens, and our neighbors were from every race, every nationality, every religion, every sexual orientation, gender. And it was great because I learned from my dad, my mom, and my surroundings that you don't judge people by where they're from or their religion. You judge them based upon the way they treat you. So I never had the background that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the police officers with me, they would, grab us and pour the beer out on our shoes, bring us home and tell my dad, you deal with him or, we'll deal with him. My dad dealt with me.
Yeah.
That's all I saw. Then I went to law school.
Yeah.
And during law school, I saw this. I was in it's my third year, and I saw this um, man named Michael Quartararo, and he was 13 years of age when he was arrested, tried, and convicted of killing his 12-year-old classmate named Johnny Pius. It's on Long Island. And he was accused and convicted of shoving 6 rocks down Johnny Pius's throat, so Johnny Pius couldn't breathe, and he dies. And Michael Quartararo was tried as an adult, and it's 13 years later. He's exactly my age. I'm 25. He's 25. And he got a new trial. He won what's called the writ of habeas corpus. It's after trial, after appeals, he wins the habeas corpus. And my teacher was assigned to represent him. And my teacher was this great guy named Jim Cohen. He's a criminal defense lawyer, and he basically did public defender work, but he was a teacher, so he got to use the students with him. So I met the witnesses. I went to the scene. It's 12 years later or 13 years later, so everything is old. But did the research, and I know nothing. But the teacher let me sit at the counsel table with Michael Quartararo, and he's telling me about life growing up in custody, and he was innocent. I will go to my grave. He's innocent. And then my teacher let me sit at the table. I'm up at bench conferences with the judge. And I'm like a juror because I don't know anything. So I'm watching it all come out. It's all coming out wrong. And I see him get convicted again. He gets 25 years to life. And I was crushed. Then I become a public defender in Fulton County. I graduate law school. And then it all came together. And every courtroom in that courthouse was filled with people of color and poverty-stricken people. And it made no sense. I realized right away, like, this has to be wrong. And how come when I would leave my house as a kid and I'd have my backpack on and I'd be walking down the street, no police officer ever did anything but roll down the window and say, have a great day. I'm meeting now through my job with my clients' children, and they're getting chased when they come out of their house. And they're getting thrown on the ground, and their backpacks are being searched, and they're being arrested or taken to truancy or whatever. And I see the poison of things like probation. And it's like you won the lottery when you get probation. So you're locked up, you can't afford the bail, the trial won't be for a year. So you're innocent, locked up for a year, or you could take freedom today with probation. But probation means you don't get certain loans, you don't get certain jobs. You have to report to probation, so the job you have says you can't take off, but you got to go to probation, so you get fired. And I saw it quickly, Michael. I saw the cycle, and I saw it repeat. And when I say I don't trust the government, I'm not saying that there aren't great judges, and there aren't great prosecutors, and there aren't great police officers and agents. What I'm saying is the system is broken, and the system is racist, and the system preys on poverty, and the system preys on making money on the back of people that we are stopping to do things like cure cancer. Instead, we lock those people up and we stop them. We paralyze them from meeting their potential. So when did I see it? I think it was a whole from my beginning, and knowing where my dad made it clear to me that, our family, my family, fled to America for a better life. They were getting slaughtered in Europe. So they come and they live on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And my dad brought me, I'm not saying it's the exact place, but he brought me to a place. And it's one room. It's probably like the size of the room we're in now. No running water. There's no toilet. Second floor. There's 11 people there. They're all poverty stricken. They're all working 3 jobs. And when my dad's generation came along, his parents said, you will get an education. And my dad told me that you are going to get an education. And he told me, I don't care if you sweep the floors of Manhattan, but people who walk by are going to take note of those floors, because whatever you do, it's going to be done with pride and your best effort. And the reason I tell you this is because I think that we all are brothers and sisters. I can't stand when people say it's a black neighborhood, or it's a black thing, or it's a Baptist thing, or it's a Mexican thing. To me, we're all humans, and we all need to get rid of all these distinguishing capabilities, and we all join together, and it's much better. But to answer your question, the longest way possible, it has been evolving for me. But I will tell you, wherever I've been in cases throughout America, America is racist, the court system is broken, and we have a duty to the next generation to fix it. Now, I have less days ahead of me than I do behind me. I'm aware of that. But I do believe that the younger generation is going to fix it and not tolerate it.
Welcome to Conversate with Killer Mike. Intent start off. I'm with my co-hosts and friends,
Cutmaster Swiff.
There.
and I didn't hurt your feelings, and if I did, I'm sorry. I love you.
Very rude.
We're here today with
We're here
Brian
today.
Steele, one of the country's most respected attorneys. Bears are pretty excited about it today, so
I'm
I'll
really
apologize in advance.
I'm
But
really
Brian, whose name has become synonymous with discipline, preparation, and most of all, as you just heard, standing on principle. He's been in some of the biggest courtroom and cases in Atlanta and beyond, including the YSS trial. Beyond headlines, he's a husband, a father, student of law, and someone that's dedicated his life to fighting for people who have everything literally on the line. He's known for his integrity, calm under pressure, level of preparation, and has changed the outcome of cases for more than 3 decades now. He does not drink. He does not smoke. He treats every client like a human being whose future matters. And today we get to talk to the man behind the student headlines. Please welcome criminal defense attorney and a man I would like to call friend, Brian Steele. Thank you for coming out, Brian. We really appreciate you. I'm going to be a little more relaxed this interview because Bear's really excited about this, and he has some really good questions. And although I tease and fuck with my friend, I didn't really care how we got off to a start because I see this as a continuing conversation. You and I have talked on the phone for many months now, years, I guess. Bear constantly talks about some of this stuff in Swift. If you ever heard him talk as a First Amendment advocate, because all he does is say rude and offensive stuff. That should be legal for him to say. But Bear, you had some pretty important questions for Brian.
I think for me, the importance of you being on this show today is to help some of the kids that I mentor, some of the kids that I've been in close proximity with, and I'm saying kids, but young men as well, who find themselves in a program of whatever they believe a street code is and their principles of street beliefs and what they should or shouldn't do or how they should be defended, or it's such a manly thing to go to prison and not snitch. And so I'm just in hearing you have the conversation at Next Level Boys Academy when you came with Mr. Williams, I realized how many young people have no clue of the law, of their rights, of the probability or of the absolute, the justice system is unjust, of racism, even before they get a case. So in understanding that, my whole reason for wanting you here, for my personal reason, is how can we help young men and women who are maybe lack education, lack exposure to other things other than their rural situation, educate them to say, hey, you don't want to break the law or don't do crimes. And I think what you said that day was, don't have to deal with police. And I appreciated that. You didn't say don't break the law, but you said don't have to be involved with the police in any way. But I really want kids to really learn from this. I'm learning from it. I'm listening to you and learning your perspective on racism and the law and how the system is built to fuck us. And us meaning everybody, correct?
Everybody, especially though people who are preyed on by the system. But yes, everybody. Yeah. So I believe that it is mandatory that in elementary school, if we have a system where everybody's allegedly going to elementary school, everybody should learn their rights. So when you say you don't have to deal with the police, when the police officers pull up and they say, come over here, you don't have to come over there. That's not rude to the police officer. If you said to the police officer, come over here, the police officer is going to say, I'm not coming over there. You have to understand that when you get pulled over and the police say, I'm going to search your car, is that okay? You don't have to say, yeah, it's okay. It's not okay. Why don't you tell the police officer, well, I'll search your car first. They're going to say, that's not okay. So I think that's one thing that everyone needs to know, their rights. And the rights aren't evil. The rights are beneficial to everybody. The police want those rights too.
They swear to defend them. They swear an oath to the Constitution. And yet it's within they have the legal right to lie to you, to break your constitutional rights. And what if we taught it at 5 and 6 years old? How would this country be different?
Be much better. Be much better. Because all these searches of homes, of offices, of cars, of people, persons would go away, and a lot of arrests hopefully would not happen. Now, if the police officers are going to search somebody, they're going to break the law and search them. But, today, almost every police agency is required to wear body-worn cameras. And if you think about that, that's really sad for the police, isn't it? They're the only profession I know that no one trusts them. So they have to have a camera and an audio device on them at all times because no one trusts their word. I mean, if you really think about it, could you imagine somebody saying to you, I don't trust you. I don't trust you, Bear. So you, if you want to do something, you're going to have to prove. So you have to audio and video every communication you have with somebody. You'd be insulted. You'd say, I don't lie. I'm not going to lie about anybody. I don't need that. Police officers are mandated in most jurisdictions. So to answer your question, I would educate the children. Second of all, we have to tell the kids, no matter who they are, no matter what mental health issue they may have, no matter how hungry they have, they are powerful. Those kids are our future. Those kids are much better than me. I heard what Michael said about me. I don't deserve any of that. Anybody can do this if you give them the opportunity. And that's really what my dad told me. That's really what he told me. If you believe in yourself and get an opportunity, don't give it back. Take it. And what we're doing to all these younger children is by stopping them, by arresting their family members, by incarcerating their family members, by giving them poverty, by ignoring them on certain jobs, we are teaching them they don't belong. We have a duty. I don't care how educated someone, I don't care if they went to Harvard or they're illiterate. That person can do something better than me and everyone else if we give them the opportunity to shine. That's what I think we need to do in America. Get off people's necks, stop suffocating them, stop making them feel uncomfortable in their own homes and their own neighborhoods, and start inspiring people. And what you do at Next Level Academy, it's great, because I was there too, and I heard what was said. And I heard that people can do things and they can overcome their situations. And that's what we need to do. And we need to stop putting people on probation and convictions and start giving people opportunities to get work, to get into their artistry, whatever they're going to do, and help people out. And then we have a community, and then we will rise, all of us together, and then the crime will go down, the murders will go down, the hatred will go down, the lack of trust will go down, and it's a better life. And America can do that. We have the rules here to do it. But, we elect people, you may love certain people, but we elect certain people who like to put people down and like to put people into, well, they're not worthy.
When you say elect people, do enough people in this country understand, since we aren't currently educating kids on civics, that you vote in your judges and your prosecutors in particular? Do they understand the importance of voting locally and knowing who your prosecutor, your district attorney, of knowing who those people are? Is there a greater need to know that on a local level?
I don't have I'm not politically motivated, so I don't have the answer to that. But everybody needs to know what's going on locally, because everything's local, right? Everyone lives in a local community.
Yeah.
Now you can have bigger aspirations and do it worldwide or nationally, but
I'm only just talking about local. Just
everybody should know What are they voting for, and what does a person stand for? And the people who are voted in should not be preying on other people.
Yeah.
They should be, whether they voted for them or not, they should be treating everybody with respect and honor and candor and fairness. And we don't have to arrest all these people, and we don't have to indict all these people, and we don't have to incarcerate all these people. But people are making money off it. It's become a business.
Yes.
You're really helping to restructure a program that I probably have adopted decades ago in distrusting the justice system. And I know that some people go to prison who don't deserve to go to prison. We had somebody here who said I deserved to go to prison, but I was over sentenced.
Yeah,
I was over sentenced. He had life till expiration when he should have got 20 years. And that being said, I just appreciate you again for coming and the opportunity to educate me, as well as my hope is that a lot of young people watch this episode and learn from the things that you're saying, and it helps them make better decisions for their future, because it gets to be very difficult mentoring young men and women who don't see or don't hear what you're saying. It's not even feasible what you're saying.
Well, you said earlier that, prison is almost a benefit of life. There's no benefit to going to prison. And
for saying that,
there's nothing.
There's in my community, there's an old adage that, if you can't learn out here in the world, you go to jail. It'll give you a discipline. It'll teach you something. I recently heard another social commentator say that, and I've always disbelieved that. I don't think there's a real benefit in going and incarcerating people. Could you expound on that some? Because people usually come out traumatized, that I've known in some capacity.
Incarceration is the worst thing for a human being. Nobody should be proud that they were in custody. Nobody should be happy that they were in custody or that someone else is in custody.
It's sick almost, ain't it?
Yeah, and it's overused. So, we're still locking people up like we did in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, before we were even a country. Why are we doing that? There are so many other ways to do rehabilitation. And it's really about rehabilitation, isn't it? Yes. All these people praying to God. What does most gods say? We're all God's children, right? That's what I understand it to be. And everyone makes a mistake, right?
And forgiveness.
And redemption and love.
And prison separates the father from the child, separates the boyfriend from the girlfriend, separates the person from the community. And then prisons, do you ever sleep? You want to go to prison? Come with me. I've done it. I do it all the time. I get the warden to let me go in because I don't want to forget. I get the warden to let me go in. I get the sheriff to let me go in. And I sleep for 2 days. Sleep on their bed. You know what the bed is? It's cement. You want to break your bones? Lay on cement for 2 days. You know what the food is? You have to check this because it's a little old. But you know what the food is? You know how much money is spent feeding a human being in a metro Atlanta jail per day? Check it. It's less than $2. Imagine feeding yourself a whole day on $2. What are you putting in your body?
Imagine when you come to the realization in summer camp that this is the same food they're sending in prisons. I remember being in summer camp, the bologna sandwich and little mustard pack, whatever they gave us. One of my older cousins said, yeah, that's the same thing they give us on Rice Street. So you start to realize, in talking about mistrust of government, government does what's most efficient and what saves or makes government money. They do not do what's best on the side of citizens. And I think that just takes me back to my thinking the government should fear people, not the other way around. We have countries like Denmark, Sweden, that are currently running prison programs that redeem, that value, that tip trades. They're putting out better human beings they took in. And we seem to just have this cycle of, I know by third grade test, these many people are going to come into the prison system. And it seems to be, how can we retain this cheap labor? When you think about prisons like Angola, in Louisiana, is really redeeming happening in Angola? You know what I mean? Or is it still just a plantation?
It's insane. And to say what you said about the man said, well, I should have done 20 years but not life. That's a wrong way to think. No, in 20 years, imagine 20 years.
He has his hands up because he'd like to ask a question. Nobody likes getting cussed out by Killer Mike.
Can we talk?
You didn't get cursed. You just got told to shut up.
Can we? No. Can we talk about the YSL shit?
You were crying last night. Last night we was taping. The nigga remember he ain't gonna tape. I'm gonna leave. Like, come on, Bear. Your name is Bear.
Can we talk about the YSL trial and why that shit took so long? Like, for real. Like,
let's go.
He talk about Denmark and all these other countries, and let's talk about the YSL shit. And why did it take so long to do a bunch of? Seemed like nothing. It seemed
well, he
like,
did something.
I mean,
he's saying
he even offered to go to jail with his client. I remember when
I'm just saying, like, what took so long to? How long did that shit take?
It was 2.5 years.
Jeffrey was arrested on May 9th of 2022, and he entered a non-negotiated plea on the 31st of October 2024.
And when we're saying Jeffrey or Mr. Williams, we're talking about young thugs,
Right.
for guys that are out there on the other side of the camera.
It's like they was just fucking with him. So I understand what you were saying about this broken system. Like, what we got to do to fix this shit? Like, what's the first step?
To fix the criminal justice system?
Yes.
Stop arresting everybody. Stop charging everybody.
For anything, right?
For everything.
Does that happen without the proletariat, the regular citizen, becoming more politically active locally?
Everything starts with the citizen.
Yeah.
Because there has to be accountability for the elected officials. So I agree with it's a citizenry. And then what we need to do is we need to build trust. Nobody trusts the judges. Nobody trusts
How did they get
the
to that?
prosecutors.
How did it get to that point where nobody trusts the judges and the policemen and all that shit? Like, how did it actually get to that?
It's just a continuation of how America started. America
You're
started.
saying it's not
slavery.
like that in other countries.
So I don't practice in other countries,
Mhm.
but I hope it's not like that. But I can't speak for that. But I think America is probably wins the award for racism.
And I'm only asking based on is like with police in their daily job to deal with certain things where they encounter criminals or heinous crimes and the psychological effect on it that they incur because of that, like judges or lawyers, and every day they're dealing with this particular maybe disgusting morals or things of that nature. How does that affect the psyche when you say, how do we fix it? I'm wondering if all this trauma and all this hurt and all this pain and these deaths, how does it affect a judge? How does it affect you? How does it affect some people who are supposed to uphold the law? And at that point, are they looking at the law in black and white, or does it waver because of
Power.
the heart or the ego?
Power.
So I think that if everyone just took a step back, there's no ego here. There's no, lawyers are not entertainers. Lawyers shouldn't care about clicks on the internet or who recognizes them. Lawyers are dealing with issues. Judges, they're not entertainers. They're dealing with serious issues, and they invite everybody to come into their courtroom, his or her courtroom, and resolve a dispute in a peaceful, trustworthy, fair manner. Prosecutors don't have to just be incarcerating and charging. They need to be fair to people and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's how all our rules are set up. But when you have police officers, and I've represented a lot of police officers, a lot of FBI agents, ATF agents. When you have police officers waking up in the morning and kissing their kids good day for the school and their wife goodbye, and they go out, or their husband goodbye, and they go out into the streets, and they realize, I may never go see my family again. They get aggressive because they don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
They don't trust the citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You have the citizen who's walking the street and sees the police officer. They don't trust the police officer. There's an automatic conflict. We got to bridge that. We have to bring the police into the community and show the people These officers are different, and it's a different day. And the community has to show the officers it's a different day. We want to get along because we need police. You know, when something bad goes on, I'm taking cover and running away. Police officer running into the building.
To it.
Yeah. Police are great, right? Good police are great. Judges, why would anybody, you asked about Jeffrey's case, why would anybody trust the judges in Jeffrey's case? So imagine this. You're at the trial. You see the jurors every day for over a year. And every time the prosecutor stands up, the jurors put their pens down, put their pads down, covers their arms. And when a defense attorney, me or anybody else, stands up, jurors pick up their pens and paper, and they pay attention, sit upright, and they start taking notes. You know it's an acquittal. You know it's an acquittal. But you're Jeffrey, and you've sat there and saw a judge hear that a prosecutor multiple times, over and over, would ask lawyers to step down because they're doing their job, tell witnesses to lie and not tell the truth, put in false document, misstate the law, and you're on trial for that. And the judge says every time, Mr. Steele, you can handle it. You're a great lawyer. You can deal with it on cross. You can deal with it on appellate court. You can deal with it. Then you know you're going to be acquitted, but you have to wait 60 more days because we're going to put up a case. And the whole case is about Jeffrey. So when he left the case, they ended the case. But if it was going to go on another, 4 months, and Jeffrey's sleeping on that cement, and he can go home potentially that day, and he enters a nolo plea and a guilty plea. Think about the broken system. You know you're going to be acquitted, but you can't get out of jail because you don't have a bond, and you're sleeping with your back breaking. Your family needs you. You have a real life. You're eating the bologna that you're talking about in the camp, and you could say, hey, I can say I'm guilty to certain crimes and no other crimes, and you think I get out today, then I don't care what you say, Brian. I'm getting out today. That is a broken system. And that all started with not the judge who finished the trial. She was absolutely the savior of justice. But the judge before, meeting with a witness who was sworn in as a witness at the trial, meeting with that witness in his chambers with the prosecutors, and not telling Jeffrey or his lawyer. Could you imagine being the accused? Could you imagine saying, yeah, I trust this system. This is all good.
Being railroaded.
Yeah, I think
beyond railroaded. This is a assassination.
Now, the judge you're talking about is a black guy with an earring, and the judge you're talking about was the savior of the case was a white woman, brunette, as I remember, correct?
That's all true, but I look at it like they're people.
I simply
and
say
one
that
is a benefit to the community, and one in that particular situation, shocking.
I say that because I always tell people in Atlanta, my heroes and villains have oftentimes look like me. So judging someone by the content, their character was easy to me because usually people, whether I agree with them or disagree, whether they were good or bad, they already look like me. So I didn't have to say racism directly from that person as much as the system is the system. The system that is broken, and I don't believe, honestly, Brian, it's broken. I believe the system is designed to be this way, and it's only broken for those who are suffering under it. I believe the system is designed to give policemen too much power on the ground. I believe the system is designed not to have policemen be a part of the community, because if we wanted policemen to be a part of the community, we would say if you police in Fulton County, you will get a 1% home loan in part from Fulton County or Atlanta to live in the communities or near the communities you live in. And we would do the same for firemen and teachers. I believe there's an interest, especially after private prisons in the mid-'80s with Reagan, there's an interest in not only keeping prisons open, but keeping them full to a certain capacity because they provide cheap labor, whether you're talking about firefighters in California or you're talking about people in the South for sacking up now plastic utensils we use in restaurants. Is the system broken or is it corrupt? From day one, corrupt.
Well, see, I see the greatness.
Because broken means it was once worked.
Well, it can work.
Okay.
So you know what makes it work?
But has it ever?
No.
Okay.
But you know what makes it work?
Mm-hmm.
You know why I do, and I do see justice. but it's the people. It's the jurors. They make it work, but it is broken until you get the jurors. The jurors are the end game, right? They're the ultimate. But before the jurors, you got an arrest.
Yeah.
You got a bond hearing. You got pretrial incarceration or pretrial conditions of bond. You got to do motions. You got to do court appearances. And if you miss the court, then there's a bench warrant out for you. There's all these problems, but it does work. The system does work because all the rules are for the person. Every rule is if you just read what you were saying earlier, Bear, about understanding the rules, every one of the rules is for the people. You don't have to say anything. You're presumed innocent. The government has a burden of proof. It's the highest burden that we know in
The government
the mind.
has a burden of proof.
Beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the highest burden anywhere. Except for a mathematical certainty, that is the highest burden. You have to be so confident in that decision that you're willing to rely on it in the most important decision in your personal life. That's what beyond a reasonable doubt means.
When you talk about Jeffrey's trial in particular, there was a moment of bravery I've mentioned before, as we just said, but they threatened to arrest you, and you simply asked to be housed with your client to better prepare for the case. And that moment, however theatrical it felt, by knowing you and having built a relationship with you at that time, I realized, oh, he's dead fucking serious. He's willing to lay on the railroad track with the train coming because he believes he's doing what's right by his client. Most people are not privy to that type of defense, that you have public defenders. You formerly being a public defender, I believe, brought some of that passion into your career as of now. But what would you say to other lawyers that are out there lawyering that may not have the resources that you have now? Because it's obvious you've had the passion as long as you have, in terms of defending people's rights and privileges in the way they deserve. It's part of the system being broken, part of it that our lawyers lack the resources, the care, or the compassion that maybe brought them into it. Do they get hardened, disillusioned?
I don't know. I can't speak for other people. What I will tell you, though, is...
Did you ever get
no
hardened?
I get stronger. I've gotten stronger every year.
Gotcha.
It is a true honor to have somebody come to you. I can't believe people come to me and say, I got a big problem. Would you stand with me?
Yeah.
You know how humbling that is? You know how awesome of a responsibility? It's chilling. I mean, you just have like a chilling effect on me, because you got to come through, right? I mean, you have a duty to try to help this person. Otherwise, if you are jaded or you are burned out, you have no right to do that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you need the resources. Everybody from that first grader has access to the laws. You got to know the rules better than everybody. And I agree with you. When you said, I was serious, that I didn't care if I went to jail. I didn't care if there was a loaded gun cocked facing my eyeball. Then you can kill me.
Yeah.
How can I sleep that night? If I'm going to turn my back on a human being who is getting, what was your word? Railroaded? I mean, then what type of person am I? My life is not worth living if I can't do what is right. And when you have somebody putting you in a position where, in my opinion, they did something way beyond what is acceptable, meeting with a prosecutor and a witness and telling the witness, you can tell a lie, just not a big whopper. I mean, what are you doing? You don't tell anybody? What are we doing to our system that I believe is broken but can be fixed? I know you said it started out in a certain way in corruption. We are corrupting it.
Yeah.
And people need to stand up. And I don't care if you have a client with tremendous resources or you are by yourself and you're facing all of the resources of the government. We have the passion, the integrity, the knowledge to stand and fight for people. And you know who will win for you? The jury. The jury doesn't care how much money your client has or doesn't have. What they want to do is what's right.
Part of the YSL trial really brought to light how disproportionately unfair artists, entertainers, and in particular ones from poverty and certain ethnic backgrounds are basically crucified for what they say. There's a man named Dr. Eric Nelson who works out of Virginia and wrote a book called Rap on Trial. I wrote the foreword for it. He's brilliant. Eric's absolutely, I'd love to see you guys have a conversation. But he talks about how the FBI now and local municipalities are literally just scouting Facebook. You might rap. Your friend at work might frustrate you. You just might write a diss rap on him. That now is able to be brought into court in cases we're seeing and used against primarily. Eminem could literally rap about killing his kid's mom and his own mother, never go to court. A kid in fucking Nebraska can just get mad and frustrate and fucking rap about it on Facebook and be taken to trial and prosecuted for it. I saw you as more than a defender of a human being who didn't deserve to go to jail for what he was accused of, but of art and artistry. We're in times where it's difficult for an artist to protest without thinking someone's from the Alphabet Boys, going to knock on your door and say, what's that about? Do you see yourself as a defender of the First Amendment in particular in that case and in other cases?
I see myself a person who speaks out for what's right. And what is going on throughout our country is artists who perform in the rap field are being targeted based upon their words.
Say that one more time so they hear you.
They're being targeted based upon their words. Could you imagine, I'm a huge desire to learn. And you read William Shakespeare. Can you imagine charging him with murder and then going back and grabbing some of his writings and saying, well, you wrote this.
From Macbeth.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine opera? Opera is the most violent. I mean, you think that rap music at times is violent. Opera is the most violent. Could you imagine grabbing somebody who is singing opera and then saying, let me tell you what she sang. She's charged with murder. How about people who do drawings, paintings? How about dancers who act out the killing scenes?
Yeah.
All of the Stephen King novel. You don't see any of those people with their art being used against them. But it's racism. It's because rap is primarily, I'm not saying totally, but primarily was birthed in the cradle of people of color. It really goes back to slavery rap.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know Dr. Nielsen, and he helped me with Jeffrey's case.
Yeah.
And he took me with another gentleman, and they took me, and everyone should do this. When you say, what should people do? We went to the Civil Rights Museum in Washington, D.C., and we started on the bottom, and we went to the floor.
Great place.
You want to cry your eyes out? That's America.
Yeah.
That's what America is. America is racist. But if you learn it, and rap is in that museum, and rap started when the slaves couldn't speak to each other, and they just had to speak very fast, and they rhymed, and they did it in other languages to figure out we're gonna escape at 5 o'clock in the morning through this route. That was rap. Rap is a part of our history that's necessary.
Yeah.
It goes back to slavery. So why are prosecutors using rap lyrics? Because it's the same step. It's the same path. It's racism.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
And it's easy because
it shouldn't be easy.
Yeah. But I mean, if the system is inherently racist, then it becomes easier.
It's another big step in their dishonest, unjust path.
It's amazing that you as a white man in America so easily, you've invoked racism more than anybody at the table at a time where I almost feel like people are being shamed for saying this is racist or the system is inherently racist. You as one of the most successful, attorneys in the country are saying, no, this is inherently racist. If you had a chance, beyond what I think is brilliant early education about civics and what are your rights, what's one thing you would do, considering the neighborhood you're from? Being in New York does put you in a place where you meet the whole world in New York, and I have a theory that if you meet someone who's not like you, of the same ethnicity, religion, race, and you befriend that person, it makes it impossible for you to hold the same stereotypes. You have to start seeing and judging people as individuals you get to wave a magic wand in this country. What's one big chip you take out of racism? How do you do it? How do you get us to be less invested in the systems that promote the racism and the racism that comforts some people and gives power to the powerful and takes power from the powerless?
That's pretty disgusting what you just said. It's if I could wipe out racism, I would do that
Yeah,
immediately.
what's the one tool you inject?
Well, I think we just speak the truth. You know, what is skin color? You know, the skin is an organ.
Yeah.
It's the biggest organ in the body. So if you remove my skin, then my liver will fall out, right? My bicep will fall out. It's a container, and it keeps us, and it's breathing. When I was a little kid, I'm not saying this is a good thing to do, but you know, I don't have much sense. So I used to lay with my buddy in the summertime in New York with no trees around on Jones Beach and put Wesson oil all over our body.
And just cook yourself.
Because I wanted my skin to look like yours. Because I think your skin, you know, at this table, I wish I had your color skin. It's beautiful.
In the NBA, all the guys wish your wife had your skin color.
It's insane. It's insane, right? But I wanted to be dark, right? So we shouldn't be judging each other by skin color.
I agree.
You know, why don't we just say it's arbitrary? Why don't we just say, how long are your eyelashes? See, your eyelashes are perfect. My eyelashes are too short. So
that actually is going on in the black
good.
woman community right now.
I'm not good.
I argue with my sisters and wife about eyelashes.
So I'm less, you know, or my height. You know, I'm not over 6 foot, so I'm less of a person. I get less prestige in the community. I get looked down in the community. I'm an outcast in the community. That's what I would do. I would explain to people that this is just so wrong to be talking about things like skin color or nationality or religion. Judge people the way they act. You know, if somebody's a liar, that's what they are. Doesn't matter if they're rainbow. If somebody's going to put a gun in my face, it doesn't matter what color is. They're a danger to me at that moment in time.
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
So, who are the people that developed this system that you said?
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying who?
Just very short. I mean, I could be wrong. Brian can correct me.
Yeah.
You have a group of colonies that the UK has put here to extract resources and minerals from and send back to the UK, pay some taxes. So they're expanding a particular empire. United Kingdom's biggest empire in the world potentially at that time, right? And at some point, the guys that are here, some of them are lower ranking royalty, you know, cousins of the royals and shit. They don't have any real power there. They come here. Then you have other people that say, hey, we're going to go recolonize this. You want a chance to get out of jail for free card? We send you over there. Then they take the Irish and the Scots, say, well, if you're willing to work 7 years for free, we'll put you over there. You build these colonies out. At some point, the guy said, why the fuck do we keep sending money back?
So, I got you.
And then you get the Boston people.
So that's cool. So how you know all this, but we ain't fixed this shit yet?
Well, I know all this
You
in
saying
part
a lot of
because of
good
Miss
shit.
Ellison, because I had passionate teachers. But I think that there is a willful want to undereducate Americans. And I don't mean just black Americans. I think that the biggest poison in America right now is that the undereducation of white middle-class Americans, and in particular, what Brian is saying, how he was affected and how you've been affected, because you were one of the first people to call me about the Civil Rights Museum. You was like, Hill, if you get the show in Washington, take your ass to the museum. You don't even talk. You ain't even one of my radicalized bros like that, right?
Yeah, you're too radical.
You and Brian being affected like that, what if the school field trip comes back? Because there are no more school field trips in the same way.
So you saying that's all by design?
It's all by design, because if you can Lyndon Baines
Keep knowledge
Johnson said,
away.
you can keep the poorest white man, I think he was saying, thinking they're above the Negro, then essentially you got rule over them 100 years. I think there's a purposeful will to undereducate Americans on our rights, our true history, because it keeps the oligarchs who are in power in
I got
power,
you. Like,
and it prevents the citizens from ever
like they
saying,
didn't want slaves to learn how to read, basically. Same
because
shit.
what did Frederick Douglass say? Education prevents you. It makes it impossible for you to be a slave. A lot of the best lawyers I've ever heard of became lawyers because they were in jail, and at some point they hit.
So who are the notable slave masters today?
I think our government. I think the 13th Amendment allows for slavery. It says there's no slavery except for imprisonment, and I think that gives incentive for private prisonization and for public prisons to use. I remember when I would drive down highways, and the people that were cleaning the sides of the highways were not prisoners. There were people who worked for the county. Now I'll drive down highways and you'll see, like, is this a work detail? Is this a chain gang?
It's all a business.
Yeah. And so, you know, and I could be wrong in saying that, Brian, but it feels that way to me.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong at all.
He wrong, Bear.
I love you. I'm sorry. I love you.
I'm here to be educated.
You my big dog. But nah,
that's it.
I find it, I wake up hopeless some days.
Yeah, I feel you.
Not because I know that if we were better educated as citizens, that I'm an asshole for doing this. I watch those First Amendment auditors on YouTube. You ever watch them? So there's a growing wave of First Amendment auditors, people who just go out and purposely are just fucking assholes. God bless your soul, but it's in the name of protecting your rights to assemble, protecting your rights to free press.
I know what you're talking about. Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. And as assholes as they can be, they are showing you the exact right way to handle cops in certain situations.
I don't know if that's right though. Like,
no.
I mean, there's the way that
they're assholes. They're standing there. They're on the sidewalk.
Right. You work for me and all that other shit.
Yeah, but it's the truth. Policemen do work for you. It doesn't mean you have to treat them like assholes, but you shouldn't be treated like a cop shouldn't come up to you and say, "Move along." You on a public sidewalk. Right. It's like, hold on. Why are you asking me to move along? Don't ask me questions. Move along.
It's crazy.
No, that's when it goes into I have a right to be here. And then they say, "Give me your license."
You're right.
Well, I'm not going to give up my Fifth Amendment. I'm not going to identify myself. What reasonable and articulable crime are you suspecting me of? If you know this at 12, your experience with the police is radically different.
As a kid, they always say officer friendly. Like we knew officers officer friendly.
Not even in propaganda though. That was just
but that shit worked.
It's a good idea.
It kind of, it seemed like it worked.
It was better at that time.
Yeah.
There was a detective.
Was it better?
Yes, there was a detective that worked at, I'll tell you. There was a detective that worked at Southwest Middle School. I went there for summer school. I think his last name was Williams, so I went to find him. He had died, unfortunately. He was in a wheelchair. And I remember, I was like, I found out how he got in a wheelchair. How'd you get in a wheelchair? And I asked him to confirm it. He had picked up two boys, 14 and 19-year-old boy. He did not search them, did not realize the 19-year-old boy had a weapon on him. A 19-year-old boy shoots him en route to juvenile or wherever they were taking him, and he's paralyzed him. He came back and worked with us for years.
I remember that. My mother worked for the state of Georgia at the time that happened, and that was huge.
And I asked him, I said, why do you come back? Why did you? He said, because if I ever believed in y'all like I said I did, I can't let that stop me. And that changed my perspective on police. And this is a kid, my dad had already been a cop, my cousins were already policemen. It's not like I didn't like my dad and my cousins, it's just I didn't like the fucking job. But that man showed me that he was policing in an effort to make Southwest Atlanta and Northwest Atlanta, about Northwest, a better place. And the only way he could do that was remain a part of the community in which one child had injured him the rest of his life.
So let me ask you this: with the policemen having that much power, because that's part of the problem, a big problem. I mean, you feel like that's all designed to and they keep.
Well, we know part of the policing's power is slave catching. It's about. I think that police unions are strong. I think that policing is incredibly dangerous. So you tend to give them a lot more leeway because, like you said, those men just want to make it home at the end of the night. I think that any time you put human beings in charge of any other human beings, there is room for power to go unchecked, unbridled, and be corrupted. They did a study in one of the colleges out west where they put kids essentially over these college kids over like sheriffs over, and they fucking abused their homeboy. Like that's just how it works. I remember
that's why I was asking about the whole thing with nature and how it seems to be that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts
absolutely.
And I have just never not seen it work that way. That's why I wondered, what is the psychological effects of people who experience trauma like that daily, and does that need to be checked? You know what I mean? The psychological capacity or empathy, or do they just get in this routine to be the baddest cop who made the most arrests type shit,
Well, that would be terrible to say I'm the baddest because I make the most arrests. But I have an exact different wake-up protocol than you do. You said you wake up hopeless.
There are times I don't wake up like that daily, but there are times where as a black person, Brian, there are times where you just sit on the side of the bed and hold your head down because it's never not been.
I wake up with tons of hope because I see my children. Now they're in their 20s now, but I got to see them grow up and they're all out of the house. But their friends are lesbian or gay. every single type of color, skin. They date anybody they want. They go with anybody they want. It is normal. It is normal. So I have great hope for us. As far as, the power and the powerful and the police officer going to arrest the many people, it shouldn't be like that. Police and citizens are all citizens. We're all people.
Period.
Right. That's the issue. And once we can look at each other like that, we are going to do much better. And people have the power because everybody now has a cell phone and every cell phone has a video.
Yeah.
So the police are wearing their body cameras. They could shut it off. We have body cameras too if we want to turn them on.
So as part of it, justice deferred, because as I've talked to attorneys, we a lot of times attorneys say, and my dad said this to me too. He says, "Hey, if they're going to lock you up, they're going to lock you up. It's no reason in pushing back. When they say put your hands behind your back, just go ahead, and we're going to come and get you." A lot of times when I hear attorneys talk, they talk about the process of not interacting with, in terms of not putting yourself in direct path of the police. But once you know I'm going, you should probably not talk, right?
Yeah.
Once you know
should exercise.
You should not submit to a search of yourself or your vehicle or your house, right?
Yes, you should invoke your rights.
what I did.
You should not open your door and say welcome in my house if they do not have a warrant, correct?
Absolutely.
And if you are locked up and these rights are violated, you stand a better chance post bond at having a case in which not only you'll get free, but you may even get a suit out of it because you've been so egregiously
That's all true.
treated.
But if you just look at it rationally, if a stranger comes to my door and says, "I'm coming in your house," do you agree? My answer is no.
Yeah.
It's no different for the police. If the police say, I'm going to search your person, it's just like a stranger search me. I'd say no. Now, if they're going to do it, they have a gun on them, they're going to take me away and hopefully maybe beat me, maybe not beat me, maybe dislocate my shoulder while they handcuff me. Whatever they do, I can't really stop them because they got a gun on them. But what happens is if eventually it's all going to catch up.
Yeah.
Because eventually somebody's going to tell that officer, you are abusing your position of trust.
Yeah.
You got to step down.
So this really is a protracted struggle. This is not something that are just these individual incidents as much as a citizen, you have a job to do if you see injustice happening with this. As a citizen, you have a job in the jury by being on jury to make sure that justice comes out of it, not just the favor of a judge who would do something criminal like take a witness and his counsel to counsel them.
Let me ask you something. Check this out. I got a DUI, right? And Mike was on the phone with me.
Mm-hmm.
And no, listen, I didn't really feel like I was drunk, but I got a DUI. But because of the past situations going down with the Mike Brown thing and Trayvon Martin, I felt like.
What happened while I was on the phone with you?
You was like, don't blow. You was telling me, don't blow. But I felt like.
I knew he was going to jail.
I felt like me not blowing was going to be like resisting or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, you know what, I'm cooperating because they not finna beat the fuck out of me. Like, that's how I felt. But like, for real, I was kind of like nervous.
He was, but I told him, I'm on the phone with him. I'm telling him, don't do the roadside fucking course or your sober course. Don't look like a clown and don't blow. I said, when you don't blow, he's going to arrest you. He's going to have to take you down to Grady.
Man.
You have to wait on a blood test.
He was
your
so
alcohol
nice to
levels
me.
will be lower.
He was nice as
Fucker
fuck.
blew and got locked up.
He locked my black ass all the way up too.
Drunk?
I guess that's what they said.
What do you mean? I guess.
I mean, that's what the video.
But isn't it sick that you're sitting there saying Trayvon Martin? I mean, think about that.
Yeah,
right.
He was afraid. He was scared of shit.
I mean, think about
like,
that. That's what we have to. We have to
Distrust.
We have to bridge that.
It was crazy because I just had left the strip club. I hadn't probably driven not even a half mile, so I felt like he was just fucking with me. Like I pulled out my nice little truck and shit. Just had washed my car. I didn't even get on the freeway. He didn't even let me get up the ramp. Like for real.
Yeah, I mean,
That's your defense.
That's my fucking defense.
But nobody should speak. It's just like any time. Really, why would you speak if you don't know what the rules are? Why would you speak if you don't know what the allegations are? So just be quiet.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Because you study law.
Yeah.
Correct?
Have I studied law every day?
Have you
I love the law.
ever heard of something called street law, a street code?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen them, the laws or codes?
Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I've seen what I've seen, but I can't tell you that it's
Exactly.
exactly the same thing you're talking
The
about.
man said he was on Jones Beach with Western Oil. What the fuck?
I think
Have you seen the street codes?
Kind of.
I'm just wondering, are they imaginary? Are they like something that people say, well, this is the street code? And
some street codes are good. Like, don't
that's what I need.
Don't get somebody else in a position where they're going to prison on your back. That's good because you're potentially, I'm not saying this is true, going to be asked to lie. Right? Because prosecutors don't want to hear the truth. Oh, well, I know you arrested my co-defendant, but let me tell you something. He really had nothing to do with it. You don't get a deal. So in order to get that deal, to snitch, as it said, you got to give them something they want to hear. If that's a lie, no, you shouldn't talk about it. Sometimes you shouldn't talk about it anyway, because how would you feel about somebody talking about you and taking away yourself from the family, from your own family? But that's an individual decision. But if that's a street code you're talking about.
No, I haven't seen the list of street codes.
He's just in there. Isn't like you have a book of law.
I don't know. There may be. It may not be. Maybe it changes from every block.
And that's my point. So how many young black people have you been encountered who are in trouble, who are standing on the principle of their street code? And I just wonder, where are they getting these codes from that they're standing on in principle, but really don't know where or how, or is it real? Is this helping me or hurting me?
The people I defend don't stand on street code. We stand on what's right, what's lawful, what's ethical.
Say that again.
That's what we do.
Can I ask you to repeat that? The people I defend.
We stand on the truth, what's lawful, what's ethical.
And
we don't stand on anything else. Now, with that being said, we are going to fight for our freedom. But it's us. We are going to fight and use every law, every defense, every statute to get clear, lawfully and ethically. So I don't really know about the code. We don't kill witnesses. We don't threaten witnesses. We don't bribe witnesses. We don't lie. That's what we do. So I'm not so sure I'm answering your question, but the street code with my clients, the code is we are going to defend you to the ultimate part of the law.
I understand your answer. And part of, you did kind of answer my question as well, because you said the street code could vary from block to block or county to county or section to section. I understand that. And it just, for me, it's just like, I see so many young people say, I'll die about my respect. I'll die if somebody spit on me. I'll kill. And I'm just like, where did this thought come from? That's the code of the streets. And to me, immediately when you buy into that, from that limited, from that uncivilized seemingly and limited perspective, you just put yourself in harm's way. And I'm really, my research has been, where did these street codes come from? Who approved them? Who voted for them? And where are they listed? So that these young people can realize some of this shit is just not worth believing.
It's stupid as hell. Some of it. Most of it, actually.
Why? All right. So let me do this. We have an interest in destroying black criminality. A lot of people that have come from black criminality have an interest in destroying black criminality. So you tend to demean things like street code. Well, where did street code come from?
That's what I was going to ask.
I'm sure when the people who decided we're going to say fuck Britain got together as 13 representatives in a room, didn't say I'm going to call my fucking cousin over in the UK and let them know we're about to do essentially an overtake of a block. Because this was just a trap. It was a cotton and tobacco trap for the UK. At some point, the trapper said, fuck our plug. We the plug now. So there was a code amongst those men of secrecy to help create this country. The abolitionist movement had a street code. There was no written abolitionist rules for how to funnel people out of the South into Buffalo and into Canada. But people who were working co-conspiratorial said that we're going to free people because it was legal to own people. And it was illegal to steal people's property or aid in the stealing of that property. That street code turned into the abolitionist movement, whether you were talking about the Quakers or Harriet Tubman. I think that when we talk about street codes, it's wrong to to not mention the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers were a street organization, not a criminal organization, but a self-organized group of people that created their own code of ethics, which included feeding children before they went to school so that they could better focus. It included not being in collusion with the police and using your Second Amendment rights and being armed. All those were precursors to what you now call street codes, which were codes. Because my cop dad and my drug trafficking mother gave me the same advice.
Spit it out.
And that advice basically equaled, it is not your job to help the government. So if you do a crime, you do not snitch on the others that were involved with you if they got away, because you chose to do it with them. If the police come to my door, both parents didn't live together, they were teenagers, never lived together, when they had me, both gave me the same, but if the police come to your door, if they do not have a warrant, do not open your door. So these street codes we're talking about, some of them are cornerstoned in Americanism. In Americanism, government is always the opposer, to be distrusted, to be something that needs to be checked. And I'm not saying street codes are right, but you can't keep corporate secrets or county secrets if you work for municipalities and not expect your children, especially young men, to not invoke those codes somehow. You can't distrust government yourself, that you're sitting out your tax attorneys trying to hide the extra $2,000 you made, and not expect your kid to not adapt that in some capacity in a very primary and primal way. But I'm tired of us acting like, oh, street codes. You got codes. You don't tell on your fucking coworkers who took a little extra, who take the stapler home at the end of the day. What we have to do with our young men, I think, is give them something to do. That's warrior class. They need boxing, they need jujitsu, they need something that puts
discipline.
But beyond the discipline, because I want to talk to Brian about discipline too, beyond the discipline of mental, but physical exertion of power and control.
Get some of this shit out of them.
To get it out of them.
They go together.
Yep.
The mental and the physical.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And I think that when we talk about codes, when people say loyalty, I'm not loyal to people. I'm loyal to the codes and ethics that we share. Because that person could change on me in any moment, and my anger is not going to be with that person as much as you broke these laws and these moral agreements that we had. So I think when we're talking about street codes, they're nuanced to every little crew, because that's the crew that they have this code. I
think for now, what I'm seeing is if they do, and I agree with you 1,000% on that, because we have codes. Sometimes we get out of line and break them.
And let me apologize again for talking to you like that. I broke the code.
Yeah. We discipline one another.
Yeah.
We correct one another. So if
I don't fuck with y'all.
But that's cool. With that being said, it probably is the best idea not to write down the street codes.
Exactly, it's evidence.
But how do you? Yeah, it's just a lose-lose.
I don't think it's a loot. I think everybody code, you call it street code. You said something like someone spits on my shoes and I kill him. That's just wrong.
Right.
That's not a code. But the code of being honest with people, fair with people, protecting people,
integrity.
That's the code for everybody.
For everyone.
Yes.
For everyone.
And if that means what you're talking about, I think street codes are great.
I love the way you turn that. I agree. I wish everybody had that way of thinking about kindness, truth, honesty, fairness, and all that stuff. But I don't know. I know a lot of people who don't ever think of those words, ever.
That person in the White House got street codes, don't he?
He does, and he's very good at it. And I hate to say that, but man, the bad guys win because they stick to their code.
What's your song?
Yeah, lie, cheat, steal, kill, win. Everybody's doing it. And I think
the bad guys know who bad.
Well,
I'm cool with you being bad.
I'll give you this observation. The reason the feds, I believe, have a 95 conviction rate.
Not with us.
But I'm just saying, in general, I know not with you. But I fought with you. Yeah, they
not with us.
But in general, with people who can't afford good lawyering, God bless your soul, because they're not going to trial by jury. They never get in front of 12 people that could hear them fairly. They're taking pleas, right?
Well, can I answer that?
Yeah, I'm asking.
So I'm going back to Jeffrey's case.
Right.
Okay, but it could be a federal case.
Yes.
Same thing. Do you know that there were people being defended in that case by lawyers who got, you ready? $15,000 for representation. They were appointed.
For the whole 2.5 years?
Yes. Now, she got a little more money after the first year.
Yeah.
But this lawyer lost her office.
Wow.
Do you know how many terabytes of discovery we had? Now, we had Jeffrey, right? So we had tremendous resources.
Yeah.
So I went through everything. 6 terabytes. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I know what terabytes is.
I went through every single. Now, when I say me, I had a team. Went through everything. And I give all the other lawyers. She's a solo practitioner, $15,000, right? And I think the second year she got 50. I'm thinking you have to ask.
This is the young woman, the black woman with braids, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
She's a wonderful lawyer.
Yes.
And she stayed in the case for her client. And she fought like a warrior.
Oh, wow.
But think about this. Why do most people not go to trial? So most people are
can't afford it.
indigent. Yeah.
afford it.
They get, here's your 6 terabytes or even 1 terabyte. Here is your, you know how many witnesses I interviewed in Jeffrey's case?
How many?
870 witnesses were on the witness list. I spoke with everyone who would speak with me. I spoke with every single witness, every single one. Now, a lot of them wouldn't speak with me. But could you imagine $15,000 per year? Now, here's your 6 terabytes and your 800 plus witness list. Why do you think most people plead? People don't even understand the case.
Yeah, they can't afford it.
So when you said earlier, like, what are we doing with our system, our elected officials? What prosecutor anywhere, I'm not talking about Fonnie Wilson, I'm talking about anywhere, would do that to a human being? She knows, or he knows, that the person can't defend that case. They could be innocent, but they can't defend that case. That's why our system is totally broken. That's why there's a 94% or whatever percentage you would try. That's why. That percentage is a lie.
And it's a lie based on a lot of times political ambitions of the person prosecuting, because
And that's insane, isn't it?
Yes.
Think about that.
Talk to
So
me.
Brian Steele is
Talk to
born.
me.
I am born. And my parents come from a generation that was poverty stricken. They're working in seltzer factories. Their fingers are being blown off, all to give the next generation a benefit. And here I am, and I go to school and I get searched daily. I'm hungry to go to school. So by the time I get in and I chow the free food at lunch, at breakfast, I'm asleep by the first period. I am ill-dressed every day. I come home to a house where my father's incarcerated, God forbid. My mother's on drugs.
Yeah.
What did we just do? What did we do? We killed the spirit of the human being. So when you say talk to me, I say we talk to each other and go in. That's what government can do. Government should be helping the people. Government's for the people. We should be injecting mentors, like you were saying, with the boxing, the coaching, the speaking, the teaching. Give these people opportunities to thrive, and they will change the world. And we will have less crime, less insurance payments. We will all get along better. There'll be less murders. But instead, what do? We just lock people up.
So this is something we could learn, I think, from people on your mad I invoke this, but Fidel Castro talked about it takes 20 years. He took Cuba from a literacy rate, I believe, of below 30% to a literacy rate of above 90%.
That's great.
With an each one, teach one. Do you think America could borrow something from the communists and socialists in terms of education and in terms of everybody kind of putting in? If we have what we had in the 40s and 50s in terms of public school, we had much better public school. And public school dealt with the whole human being. They dealt with mind, body, even some spirit for the people who had the 10 Commandments in there. But my mother learned how to shoot a rifle in public school, ROTC, when public school doing John F. Kennedy's physical fitness was better. We have an opportunity now, as you would say, we would start teaching people about civics younger. Does this country need an overhaul?
I think so, yes. We need the Mr. Ellisons of the world. We need the people who are going to invest in the next generation. I am here for a very small period of time. I look at my life like I'm a little piece of sand on the huge beach of the world. I'm irrelevant. But what I can do with my time is the other sands that I touch as I'm being blown around. Maybe I could do something good that inspires somebody else. And then they will inspire somebody else.
Is that what made you, like, what do you see in like Jeffrey as a person? Because, again, I just had not seen that type of passion in a very long time from an attorney. I mean, it was almost TV worthy. I thought I was watching a show at points where it was you were absolutely invested in your client. What do you see in him as a human being that you want? Because a lot of times when a black kid gets money, you can see it now with Shador, with the Money and Fame. You can see it with, like the way Johnny Manziel gets treated versus Shador, right? Johnny was fucking, you're partying. He was our guy. I could see him at a fucking bar.
Doing drugs.
They look at him with a certain...
Doing drugs.
Doing drugs with him. I did some blow in the bathroom. Whatever. But with Shador, it's a genuine contempt for basically a suburban kid who bought some jewelry and speaks confidently about himself. You have to defend someone who his own community wants to call to task for whatever reason. Other communities want to call the task as a bad example for American kids, but you see a humanity in them and you defend that humanity. What do you see in Jeffrey Williams?
Oh my God. Jeffrey Williams?
Yes.
I see everything good in America in Jeffrey Williams. I see a young man who was brought into total despair, unhappiness, no future. And this young man, second to youngest of 11 children of his mother, who goes hungry, gets shot twice for no justifiable reason, grows up and he has his brain. And his brain, he's a genius. And by age 12, he realizes, and other people realize, he has the ability to speak fast and to rhyme words. But he doesn't know the words. He doesn't know what they mean. So he just listens and asks questions of everybody. You just said a word. What does that word mean? And then the iPhones came around, and he gets an iPhone with Google, and he sits there and he studies history, and he studies what is Lil Wayne doing. And that man, from that broken beginning, then becomes known in his community. By the age of 16, 17, he's performing in young age bars or restaurants.
Yes.
And next thing you know, he's doing it all throughout Atlanta. Then he's doing it throughout Georgia. Then he's going to Florida, and Alabama, and North Carolina, and South Carolina, and Tennessee, and the whole country, and then worldwide. And he never forgot where he came from.
Yeah.
He always brought people with him. And the people he brought with him, he didn't just say, here's some money, here's some jewelry. He gave them jobs.
Yeah.
He gave them jobs in merchandise. He gave them jobs in security. He gave them jobs with HR. He gave them jobs with touring and making. Yeah. And he never asked anybody to thank him for it. He said, you could thank me by doing it for the next person.
Yes.
And when people would get in trouble, he would assist them. He wouldn't turn back, but he would not hire them again. He said, no, I gave you an opportunity and you went against it. And to me, that young man, to come from where he came and to be the person he is, I think that Jeffrey Williams is a hero.
Yeah.
And he stood in that courtroom when other people were cutting deals when they're innocent, when other people are cutting deals and trying to make deals with the prosecution. He said to me, we're going. He said, I'm here. I'm not gonna talk about anybody. I'm gonna do you and me, Brian, and we are holding hands and we are going for it. And that to me is a hero. And what he did for the masses in America and beyond. People, like you said, like I stood there and I said, I'll go to jail with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's the one who stood there. He could have gotten out of that case. He could have told about somebody else, but he stood there knowing he may die in prison. And he said, with a judge who was making horrible conduct, with the prosecutors who were not truthful, that Jeffrey sees that every day. He said, we're gonna enlighten you. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to enlighten the world. And it was on TV. So to me, what do I see in Jeffrey Williams? I see everything good in life. And I think that everybody, because of Jeffrey Williams, everybody, we should learn, let's stop putting people down and let's start bringing people up. Like, who cares if they have a tattoo on their face? Who cares if they're convicted of a crime? Let's talk to people and meet them where they are. And stop with the people who are spitting on the shoe so they're going to pull out a gun. No one wants to do that. Nobody wants to shoot somebody.
It meant the world to me to see a lawyer show that type of integrity in court.
Shouts out to Jeffrey.
You understand what that's all. Yeah, shouts out to Jeffrey Williams.
What time it is? Shouts out.
What does keeping and maintaining your integrity mean to an attorney at your level? Because some people got unhappy with you, but I understood it because at this point I've understood you and I understood integrity. You defended a woman. Is it Jacqueline Johnson down in Brunswick?
That's true.
Jacqueline Johnson. There were two white men that presumed it their ability and authority to police the body of a young black man. They attempted to stop that young black man and question him as though they were police. They ended up shooting and killing him with a shotgun on the side of the highway, and there was a third man involved. But the prosecutor, the DA in that county, was accused of being in collusion with them, and you went and defended her and made sure she stayed out of jail. That to me shows, is it Alan Grumback that was a civil rights attorney that defended the Klan at one point too? Am I right about that, or I could be? Could we check that? Check and see if it's Alan Grumback. But I remembered hearing a story of a civil rights attorney that had done that had defended someone who my community viewed as an enemy. But to me, it showed me Brian Seal's integrity, that the law and the letter of the law is right more than wrong. So I saw that lady and I prosecuted her, and I had her guilty in my mind off the top. What prompted you to go defend her? What happened during that case with her? And what made you say this is a case worth taking?
So you're talking about Ahmaud Arbery, and Ahmaud Arbery
Yes.
was doing something I do every day.
Jogging.
Yeah. Yeah. This young man, it's a beautiful day. It's in way South Georgia, and he's jogging. And I've jogged decades, every day. I swim every day. I lift weights every day. Nobody has ever pulled up to me in a car and bumped me while I'm jogging. Nobody has ever had a gun pulled on me in a car and tell me to stop moving. Nobody has ever gotten out of the car with a shotgun and pointed at me and tell me to get down. And Ahmaud Arbery was slain because of the color of his skin and where he was jogging. He's dead. It is a total assassination on brutality and racism in Georgia. It's during the pandemic. It's probably 2020.
I remember that case.
I get a call from a man named Greg McMichael, and he asked me to defend him. And he's one of the people in the truck with the gun. And his son is the person who pulled the trigger that murdered Ahmaud Arbery. And I told him I couldn't do it because I saw the video. So I didn't take that case. Short time later, and I don't know if it's 8 months later, a year later, whatever, I get a call from Jackie Johnson. She's the elected district attorney. And she's charged with covering up and stopping the arrest of the McMichaels because he used to work for her. One of them used to work for her. So I wasn't too eager to get involved in the case. But I met Jackie Johnson. She said, I got to come to your office. And I saw her. I saw the tears. And I realized she had recused her office. She did not help hide the evidence. She did not stop any arrest. So I decided to defend her. And after Jeffrey's trial, I went down to South Georgia, and we tried that case.
Yeah.
And what happened is a gentleman who's now running for governor of our state, Chris Carr, he's the current Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
He brought an indictment against Jackie for violation of oath of office and for obstruction of justice by having the officers not arrest Greg McMichael and Travis McMichael, his son. So the prosecution calls one of the witnesses, the officer who is named in the indictment, for being told that she cannot arrest the McMichaels because of Jackie Johnson as a district attorney. So the prosecutor asked a few questions. I stood up on cross-examination, and I put up, with the judge's permission, the indictment on the screen. And I said to the witness, the officer, you see your name there? Yes. And I said, well, let's read it together. Jackie Johnson stopped you from arresting Travis McMichael. I said, look at the jury. Look at all 12 of them. Tell them how Jackie Johnson stopped you from making this arrest. The prosecutor objected to that question. The judge looked at me and said, what do you say to that? I said, what do I say to that? This is their indictment. They should be throwing a party. I'm asking this question. This is the victim. And I'm saying, just tell the jurors how you were victimized by Jackie Johnson. The judge says, overruled. Answer the question. And the officer looked at the jury and said, she never stopped me. from arresting them. I never had the intent of arresting them. It was a gray area to me, but she had recused her office, which means took herself out of the case, and she had nothing to do with it. Jackie Johnson was cleared of everything. Cleared of everything. Ahmaud Arbery's murder is not something that people should use his blood to step on to get a political benefit. The truth has to come out no matter what we do.
Yeah.
And that's why I represented her.
And when you say political benefit, if you look at our up and coming gubernatorial races, Georgia's 35% African American. There's going to be someone of an African American vote. It would be in Mr. Carr's benefit to have been on the side that said, I brought someone to justice on behalf of African Americans in Georgia, or it could be seen like that, right?
Well, everybody should bring the people responsible for the murder, the cover-up of Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
But don't bring an innocent person
yeah.
and put her under death threat. She was under death threat for 5 years. She couldn't leave her house for 5 years. This is a young lady who did nothing but do everything right. In fact, the evidence came out at the trial that when Jackie saw the video that we all saw, months later, that video was hidden. Months later, when we saw it, you know what Jackie's reaction was? She's already out of the case. How are they not arrested? Oh my God.
Wow.
You say, wow, that's how I represent Jackie Johnson. And I say, how dare the Attorney General of the state of Georgia to put an innocent person on trial and continue to put an innocent person on trial all the way through years later. All this was known. You think that I found this out? I'm not that smart, right? It was known.
No.
But they tried to scare her. They thought that she would bend. But you see, my clients don't bend because my clients know the rules. We educate our clients. And the rules are all set up, as Michael said, for the benefit of the person. That's where we come from.
Yeah.
That Tea Party was a great party.
Amen. Amen.
Presumed innocent.
Yeah.
If I may, you spoke on you run, you lift weights, and you swim. Is that discipline that you have, is that what helps keep you so sharp and on task for these trials, these long trials that you have to, these 6 terabyte evidence that you have to deal with? Is how much of your discipline and working out is a factor of how well you do in life?
It's such a wonderful life I have, right? I wake up in the morning, I wake up about 4 o'clock, no matter what time I go to bed, and I see my wife. I can't believe she's there. I look over our kids' bedrooms and I pray over them. And I have these flooded memories of growing up with them. They're all out of the house. I stretch, I read my law, I organize my day. I go run. Nobody tries to bump me with their car or pull a gun on me.
Yeah.
I go to the gym, I lift weights, I swim. I go to the courthouse. I go to a meeting. I come here. I mean, think of what I'm doing. If you look back on my life in Queens, I never thought I'd be sitting at a table with 3 gentlemen like you guys. I mean, this is, to me, I am unbelievably touched. I feel like I could die right now. Nobody should shed a tear. I feel like I'm the luckiest person to face the earth. Then after court or after the meetings end, I go back to the gym and I swim. That's a perfect day. I go home, I hang out with my bride, I'm wiped out, and I read and I go to sleep. That, to me, I don't know if that makes me focused. What it makes me is happy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel centered. I don't do social media. I don't run with a phone. I don't listen to the great music by Michael when I run or swim or lift. I am just focused, and I'm very, very cognizant.
So you're there. Now,
I live in
the moment.
I live, and I'm ready, and I'm prepared for what I'm supposed to do. And I love that. And I don't eat. I used to not eat anything. Now I eat fruit. But I don't eat before 12 o'clock because I want to feel the pain of somebody who doesn't have food. I don't want to forget.
That's working. I've been doing my thing.
I surely can listen to you talk all day. God damn, boy, you made that sound so beautiful. You read me a bedtime story.
Damn. We got to get to it. I got to get to it.
But this is what we all of us should be living that life.
You know who reminds me of what you're saying right now? There's a guy's name's Archie Greenhall. He has a brother named Archie too. So Swift is the person who calls me in the morning and says, hey man, I don't care how bad your day goes, how you and your wife argue, or if your date doesn't come through like you wanted to come through, or your touring isn't happening this month, you just got to sit at home, make music. You get to do what you love for a living. and it makes other people happy, there's no reason, not only shouldn't be thankful, there's no reason you shouldn't be grateful and happy. And Sleepy and Bear remind me of this. And you are living, shining example of that. The amount of passion, I wonder, like, where does he get it from? Because again, you get to a certain status and you just get too cool. You don't seem to have ever gotten too cool. You are personable. I've seen you at concerts. I've seen you become a star. Kids literally have putting Brian Steele in their raps now. Like you are.
Thankfully, you don't act like a star.
No, you don't.
You're very humble
and grounded. And it's interesting to see that it comes from a place that's internal. It's not seeking an external validation.
I don't think. I don't think I'm a star.
I think you're a star.
I don't think so.
We go to the blue flag when we leave here.
I think that I'm fortunate to have met the people I met. I've walked with the most vulnerable, illiterate, impoverished person, and I've walked with senators and mayors and judges and housewives. I mean, I have met everybody, and I feel like all of us are stars.
Yeah.
I feel all of us.
I feel you.
Something special about everybody.
Everybody.
Can I ask you a couple of rapid fires, just a yes or no, what you think?
Oh, shit. Here we go.
The First Amendment is increasingly under threat today. Yes or no?
Order in the court.
That's true.
That's true. Social media and public opinion are adversely affecting the outcomes of real cases.
It depends on the case.
Gotcha. Representing an everyday client versus representing a public figure and artist can be more difficult.
Every case is difficult. You're dealing with the life.
Gotcha. The criminalization of lyrics, expression, and creativity is wrong and anti-constitutional.
The criminalization of that?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Not even close.
All right. All right. Oh, this is not a yes or no, but I do want to ask you this. In joining Sean Puffy Combs' defense, what considerations go into you taking a case of that magnitude? And I'll tell you why. I haven't said a lot publicly about it or given my opinions. But in the time that I've known him, and I've known him over 15 years, he'd always been gracious. He'd always been a gentleman to me. He'd always been a giver in terms of whatever opportunities were available. Tried to sign me to his label once, big boy, and he couldn't come to an agreement, and afterthought was probably best. But I met someone who in quiet times would tell me I'm incredibly flawed. I fucked up a lot in the past, but I'm not a monster, and I'm on a road to redemption. What I heard from what I saw in the media, I heard a person who suffered from some addictions, suffered from some want of attention that he turned into a empire. But I saw a lot of people, in my opinion, that were co-conspirators with him, including some people that had been lovers of him, claimed him an abuser. But having known him and been around, I saw these people culpable in the same way. Why does it seem like he's the person that we're crucifying in a bit for all of the sins of the recording industry? The recording industry can be incredibly dirty, filthy, wild, crazy, drug-ridden place. But usually most people are in compliance with a lot of the bullshit that they do. You know, would you agree? I mean, having been in it longer than me, I mean, it's some freaky fucked up motherfuckers out here, Brian. And the fact that one freaky fucked up motherfucker became the messiah of misogyny all of a sudden, he suffered the cross for everyone, seems a little fucked up to me. Did your client get railroaded? Or you know.
Somebody got to take the fall.
You think?
No one has to take a fall.
Yeah, okay.
No one should be taking a fall.
Yeah,
Sean case. Sean was the way that you described him to me.
Yes.
He's always been nothing but a kind, caring person who has stand up and fought against racism and fought for the future and the next generation to be better than our generation. And he opened up countless opportunities to people who never would have had those opportunities. Yeah. And he never forgot. And he didn't come from like Jeffrey. He didn't come from poverty, but he feels it.
Yeah.
And he knows about it. So Sean's case that was tried. So all this is, public information. Never should have been charged with a racketeering count.
Yeah.
There was personal use drug offenses that the prosecution in the Southern District of New York were trying to say he's this massive drug peddler, and had all these people just running drugs for him. It was not true. We're talking about $500 worth of drugs at a time. I mean, we're talking about personal use. As far as sexual servitude, that means that with force or threat or coercion, he made people have sex against their will. It's rape. It's rape.
Yeah.
When you saw those people, and these were his girlfriends.
Yeah.
And you saw the writings. You have contemporaneous chats and text messages. The girls are loving this. They're picking out their outfits. They're picking out the person, the third party to come in. They're picking out the location. Sean is saying in an instance, I'm sick. And the girl's saying, oh, no, we're doing it tonight.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. He should have never been charged with those crimes.
Yeah.
He should never have been charged with prostitution. That's what he got convicted of.
Yeah.
And now he suffers a 50 month sentence.
Absolutely.
Without a bond. He never could get out on a bond. 50 months in a federal prison for something that is going on right now within running distance of where we are right now. Prostitution, whether you like it or not. I am not saying that it's a great thing to do, but prostitution is a business that is done.
What they call it, world's oldest profession.
Because some people have horrible situations and they see no way out, and that's wrong. But they are doing it for payment.
Yes.
That's what Sean did, and he's paying with 50 months. And why did it happen to him? Because of the person that he was, his color of his skin, his money, his prestige, his notoriety made him a target. What you guys said earlier, for people who have other
political aspirations. I'm glad you said that as an attorney.
I'm
had an opportunity.
Absolutely glad you said that.
Bear used to work for Puffy.
Bear worked with Puffy.
Who did the check come from?
I ain't saying shit. 50 ain't finna fuck with me. 50 ain't fucking with me. I ain't saying 50 ain't saying shit.
I never got a bad boy check.
You never got a bad boy check? Okay. But you introduced me to him, and I got a chance to know the human being. But
great guy.
I just like to say, what you talked about is losing, and this is not in defense of his moral character. Like I say, he said to me, I've been same way. I've met a kind, sensitive guy. He told me I've been an asshole a few times too, and I've made amends for that. The black community, in losing any billionaire, you lose someone with the economic advantage to help the community through influence and through money. Yeah. The black community, in losing a billionaire who understands poverty, even though they're not from it, you lose the opportunity to have one support of Barack Obama like he did in the Vote or Die movement. You lose the ability to have someone who supported numerous charitable organizations on the ground in Atlanta and beyond that would educate young men, that gave people opportunity to not only have jobs but build careers. So many people within this industry who have great integrity came out of the bad boy system. I just, although not giving a public statement, I felt such a loss in losing that man and his ability and influence, because I understand that the people that are on the dollar bills in my pocket
slave owners. They
were users and abusers of young black women. They were rapists. And in spite of that, I still find a place in my heart for admiration for the Bill of Rights and the Constitution they wrote, because I understand that broken men and women can create morals and goals and principles that we all can aspire to be better for.
They did the same thing to Cosby, didn't they? Pretty much.
Well, I don't know Cosby's case, but I just know I know Sean. You know what I'm saying? I know him. So not like I know him to be right as much as I'm saying I would bet he's redeemable. And what a great loss our community has suffered in losing someone like him in terms of having financial, political, and social influence.
He's more than redeemable. He is speaking out about his battering of women, his abuse of women, and he wants it to stop, and he needs help, and he's the first one to tell it, and he wants to go talk to other people who are going to raise their hands and put him on women and say, look at me. Who would trade places with Sean Combs?
Yeah.
You mentioned, the talented 50 Cent. I mean,
Oh, y'all could have 50 coming at me, man. That Bill.
He's
I
just
don't want. Don't buy my building. Well, actually, I own my building.
He's done great things for the community. He's done great things for the community. But what everybody can agree on is Sean has no right to put his hands on a woman. But he will be the first one to tell you. Locking him up for 50 months, though?
Yeah, I don't.
What's the point? He can get out right now. He could be on your show if you let him, and he would tell people right now without hesitation, don't touch someone else. I got a problem. He would say, I got a problem.
That's thank you for talking on that. I wanted to say or hear you speak or someone speak on that, because I just as a rapper, so I'm in rapper mode right now, right? Man, entertainers buy pleasure. That pleasure may be
You sell pleasure.
They sell it for a living, but they often don't get it. You get off that stage, man. You want a massage. You have to hire a masseuse. You're in somewhere else. You don't know anybody. You might want to, because you're the loneliest person at the end of the night. You're the absolute loneliest person. You
go from a high to a low.
Yeah, and so in matters of me, anyone knows me knows I think prostitution and drugs should be legalized, and they should be essentially patrolled by government agencies. Yeah.
I do too. And manage the tax money. I think everything should be legalized.
I do.
But educate.
Absolutely. Educate and set up systems in which people can do it safely.
Why are we locking people up for this stuff?
Is Amsterdam still considered the healthiest
It's less progressive
in the world? From cycling, prostitution, and weed.
Yeah. They're getting a little tougher, though. They're getting a little more conservative. But if you ride a bike around Amsterdam, see some of the tallest, most beautiful blonde women you ever saw, smoke some amazing marijuana, and then
spend that little money.
If a girl tells you no, you can go to red light district, get it tugged off, you come home happy.
Crime goes down.
No one. I've never met anybody in Amsterdam I thought wanted to kill me.
You have something to say about your experiences in Amsterdam?
I had some great times. I had some great times in Amsterdam.
Oh man, what's the
Just riding around the canal.
And back to Miss Johnson really quickly. Did she get reelected as DA down there?
No.
Okay.
She got
She was like, get the fuck out of here.
She couldn't leave her home.
No,
she got hammered.
Let me ask you, I need you to be a consultant for my community. You know, a lot of times this question gets asked fucked up. Like, what would you do if you're over the black community? No, we're hiring. You're Tom Hagen in The Godfather, right? So Tom Hagen is the Irish character in The Godfather, who's like a brother to Sonny and Mike and Fredo, but he's not, Italian. So they're just he's the greatest consultant ever, though, because he can kind of see the room in the way they didn't. You're the Tom Hagen for my community right now. What advice, when it comes to voting for district attorneys and judges, do you give us?
I would educate. I would go to team meetings, hall meetings, town meetings. I would organize, and I would want to meet the people, not only the candidates and what they tell you, but I would meet the people who the candidates previously worked with, what they really stood for, look into their backgrounds, and I would understand issues. If we're talking about like prosecution, I would meet some people being prosecuted. They're in the neighborhood and say, are you being treated fairly? And you're going to hear the stories.
Gotcha.
No, I'm not being treated. I have to take off work. I go to court, and then I'm told, oh, it's the wrong court date.
Gotcha.
So I just missed work, and nobody cares.
There's a young man who ran last time around, Christian Wise Smith, I believe, and he right at the end, I didn't, Christian's a very likable guy. I think he's about to run for another office now, statewide office. But I was amazed that Christian was he was just in the community with the youngest of people, the youngest entertainers, and they literally were giving him people and testimonials in terms of this is what's going on with me. And this is when I believe Paul Howard was still, I think this is when Fonnie was running. I was a Fonnie supporter at that time. But I grew a relationship with Christian, even though I didn't immediately support him. Been since have grown to be a supporter of him just as a person and what he's doing. I'm probably going to support him in the statewide election because he had a want to know how is the system treating you. And I just had not seen that in that way. So I got to give him a hat tip. How would you, as our Tom Hagen, you're giving us our consultation, how can everyday people protect ourselves from falling into this system that is broken and that I would argue is even corrupt, and we know at very least biased? How do you do that? Because if you're the black kid with the book bag on walking to school, and the cop stops you, you can't just say no when they say come here. Because
you have to.
Damn,
You
Brian.
have to. You just
Brian,
have
we're
to.
going to go to jail, though. We can't all hire Brian.
Then we need to go to jail, and we need to have your lawyer then go and reprimand and bring that officer into court. And why'd you do it? I want to see your body camera. You need
you blowing was, should he have blown?
No, you should have listened to Michael.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
The cop was a nice white guy.
3 o'clock in the morning.
West End. You weren't going to get killed in the West End leaving months, right?
Mike, like I said,
your rights are 24/7.
These other folks don't got killed. Like this shit was, it was like.
But that's why it's broken.
That's what I'm saying, right?
But that's why
what was going on at the time.
We need to.
I got
pulled over the other day in the West End. I got pulled over because
you killed a Mike.
No, but that does not mean I was not afraid.
You've been on TV crying.
Doesn't matter.
And everything.
And getting pulled over, I was just as nervous and anxious. I made sure I kept my hands on the I had my license and registration ready. But it was amazing because the cop says, pull over and what's that? Because my thing is when the cops hit the lights, I immediately try to stop. I'm not trying to go even a half a block because I don't want you to say I was evading arrest. But she was like, damn, man, you can't hear. And I laughed because I was like, I know I'm going to survive this because she sounded like somebody I went to school with.
Damn.
But that was the most unprofessional
I didn't
shit.
feel like that.
But I stopped and we went through the process and they said, well, your tint is too dark. And I said, I know, but it's my wife's
Did the
car.
car smell like weed?
No, not then. But I got stopped in. My son had smoked a joint, at and around my car, and my car did smell like weed one time, and I got stopped in Forsyth, and the cop totally got it and understood. He was like, I'm a parent of a teen. I understand. He said, but tell him he shouldn't do that in his dad's car. He didn't try to. So I have had more good interaction with police than not. But I remember when we got stopped in Florida. And the 2 nervous ass Hispanic cops, they thought some Subway seeds on my cousins. They thought it was like weed or some shit. Oregano. They thought it was like, so they were acting nervous and they called the cop out and this black cop shows up. And me being from Atlanta, I get relieved. Like, man, goddamn, one of us is going to be okay. He says,
trauma.
Well, you niggas seem to scared the shit out of these men. And I was like, oh, fucking shit. He had newspaper articles of where he had killed suspects that resisted in his backseat. He put us over. He put CeeLo in the CeeLo Reddick from the Beat Bullies in the car. Had me over the fucking radiator, hot as fuck, counting. I think I had about $8,000 in my shoe at the time. It was early in my career.
Big dope,
motherfucker. When I left, I had 7,700. I didn't give him any complaints, and he says, "Well, you're better than famous rapper from Miami." Who I'm not gonna name, that nigga started crying. I thought he was a thug. I thought, I was scared. That's not understood then. I was like, yeah, this ain't just.
Oh, I forgot.
This is about you. And,
no.
when we got stopped in Oakland.
No, I forgot about my story too. Another reason why he told me to walk the line. My plantar was fucking up. I was like, I can't do this shit.
Did you get your foot fixed, man?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Man, that nigga feet flat as the magazine.
Yeah, listen. But what I'm saying is my shit. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been drinking a little bit.
Man,
but
do we have to hear this story?
Let me get this, man. What
shit. Now, if I knew he was gonna be my lawyer, I'd have been like, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I would have been like, I don't have room on my schedule for you.
I need our consultant. Right now, my daughter's at Hampton University. It's her first year.
Are you asking for free legal advice?
I could be. But I can talk to Brian off camera. So, my daughter, Mikey's home, and she's going into kinesiology. And I'm just like, yo, that's a form of medicine in terms of helping people rehab. I say, Dr. Michael Render sounds good too, right? I want to push it. She came home, Dad, I got 5 A's, 1 B+. And I was just like, I'm proud of you, kid. I really would. Her mind works in such a way, she'd be perfect for law. So I want to try to convince her. But even if my daughter goes unconvinced, could you help convince some kids? There's some black and brown kids on the other side of the camera who are in high school or who are at their first years at Morehouse or Howard or Hampton, Bethune-Cookman. Why do they need to go into law? Does it help fight the racism? Does it help fix the system if they do?
Being a lawyer is the greatest opportunity to live a life. Now, I've never been anything. I've never been musically inclined. I can't play sports. I'm not like you're a child. I'm not a doctor. But you have the opportunity through this ticket, this bar license, to really help people in need. And that, whatever law you're doing. And what better way to go through life than to say that you help somebody, and you have the ability to do that every single day. And by having that ticket, you can go before the people who have the power to help that person's life, the jury or the judges or the prosecutor.
That's good.
And if you can understand and just come with somebody like me, or, this great lawyer, Daniel Kane, there's great lawyers everywhere. Love Daniel Kane.
Beat 2K,
my guy.
Thank you,
everywhere, but everywhere. Go to any courthouse. They're in every county of every state in America. There's a courthouse, and just watch what's going on. And I don't care what school you went to, whether it's Ivy League or a school that is barely known. You get that ticket, and the law teaches you. Everyone has the same opportunity. You could read the cases, and it's an art. It's like music. I could read a case, and you can read a case, and we could come up with different opinions on the case. And the judge, depending upon the judge, could come up with a different opinion. That's why laws are constantly changing. And being a lawyer, you put yourself in a position where you get to think through issues and get to help people. I can't imagine a better thing to wake up to.
Is that what keeps you so committed after 30 years? Because 30 years is a long time.
It feels like 30 seconds.
Wow.
He fixed things.
I think I found my new guru in you. Yeah, all that stuff Barry tried to introduce us to.
Yeah,
all that Eastern mysticism and kung fu. We're done with that, man. We rocking with me. We rocking with the law.
You say you couldn't play sports, but you're an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm an athlete, but
no, you are an athlete.
I'm a big believer in physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and be at peace everywhere. And it's not about me, and it's not about a car or a house or jewelry or people recognize you. It's about when you go home at night and you lay your head down, you can honestly say to yourself, I tried my best today. I tried to help somebody. I didn't lie to anybody, and I didn't do anything untoward to anybody. And that's where, that's to me, that's inspiring life.
Well, I've been blessed to build a relationship and a friendship with you. I met a man named Brad Boyd when I was 15 years old. And at the time, Brad Boyd was a prosecutor in juvenile court in Fulton County. And Gaither's disciple came before his bitch. And Gaither's disciple was called Violator. And Violator was a friend of mine. Brad Boyd gave Violator a chance to come home. And Violator came home. He joined the same organization that taught kids how to organize that I belong to. And also the prosecutor's daughter, Sarah Boyd, belonged to this. He not only showed his contemporaries who were angry with him for letting this young man come home. And the court system at that time was really punitive. It was before the Olympics were coming. They were locking up a lot of young people. Brad, by that one deed, put a better human being back out on the street. Violator went on to not only become one of the best young people organizers I'd ever known. He was already an organized gang member. So he knew how to organize kids. But in that organization and after, he's just been a pillar of his community. Brad retired a few years ago and he moved back to Ohio. He was a Mennonite. So he moved back to Ohio. And I asked Brad, how did you end up, you have a mentor and a friend. How did you even end up lawyering? How'd you? And he had moved down here. I didn't realize he was married to a black woman first too. When I met him, his wife and kids were white, but he was married. He came down here, his wife got divorced. He was jogging. I don't know what's up with lawyers and jogging through Techwood Homes, and ended up somehow getting in his hair. He had gotten a haircut because he heard with his law degree, he had an opportunity to interview with Fulton County. Got hired, then they told him to cut his hair some more. So obviously he had hippie hair. But went on to become one of, in my opinion, the best judges, the best prosecutors and judges, because he gave kids a chance. But when I went to his retirement to see the kids pop up that he had given opportunity to, it reminded me a lot of a woman named Asha Jackson, who's our chief judge now, who has a Pinnacle program in which he gives people a year to turn this stuff around. And that program was so successful. Our current Republican governor, Brian Kemp, who's an associate of mine, Mr. Kemp, gave another woman out of Fulton County, Miss Ali, the charge to do that on a statewide level. So I want to say to the kids you just talked to, absolutely, becoming an attorney, you can transform the world in these little steps, and you can lead to the transformation of a greater community. I'm proud to know Brad. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to know the people that have defended constitutional right and just the civility of the civilians. You know, what you have been over the course of building a relationship with you and seeing you defend others who I thought I agreed with and didn't, has shown me that heroes really exist. A lot of times we're looking for heroes to come out of the sky out of stars, but your heroes really are those grains of sand that you're walking on the beach that provides you comfort when you're Crisco yourself up and you go to get a tan. You, Mr. Green, are someone I'm proud to say I've earned the friendship of. You're someone who I'm proud to say my community benefits from. I'm proud to see when I see Jeffrey on television, you back there in a Spider jersey, because it shows me that that wasn't just a business transaction. That wasn't just a lick you hit for fame and notoriety. It really was you seeing the humanity in someone and wanting the law to work for the benefit of the people and not against it. Your legacy beyond being a hero, your legacy beyond being a dad, being one of the greatest, I think, defense attorneys are, what is it? And how do you want to be remembered?
I just believe in people. And I want, my wish is that all people would look at each other just as people and as assets. We can all be assets to each other. And if I'm going to be remembered for anything, it's just that my belief in people. And locking up people is not the way we should be treating people.
I remember having a conversation with Daniel Kane and him saying to me, even in regards to murder, he would say, if you look at most people, if they've served 20, 21 years, that's a different human being than the person that went in.
He 21 years in custody.
Yeah,
he got 21 days in.
Days, yeah.
I represented.
He was speaking specifically about murder.
I know what you're saying.
I represented the former, at that time, the longest elected district attorney in Georgia. His name is Tim Madison. Mm-hmm. He's in Banks County. And he had great lawyers, the Honorable Ed Tolley and the Honorable Don Samuel, and he pled guilty to theft. And he called me from his prison in Ludowici, Georgia, long state prison. He said, come on down, I need to ask you something. I said, you had great lawyers, you pled guilty, you're sentenced to 8 years. He said, please come down. And he comes down, he gave me permission to tell us. And he comes down, I'm in the conference room at the prison, and he comes in and he's wearing the white jumpsuit, and it says, Georgia prisoner on the back, Department of Corrections property. And he sits down and he said, I have sought and successfully obtained the death penalty more in the last 30 years than any other prosecutor. I would sit down with defense lawyers and judges and say it's only 5 years in prison. He said before anyone ever becomes a judge, before anyone becomes a prosecutor, they should spend 2 days as an inmate in the Georgia prison system. He said, now I'm not saying general population and get them beaten. They could be in isolation for 2 days, shave their head, make them wear the clothing of a person in custody, make them eat the food. They can't use the phone except for a recorded conversation. 2 days, no one will ever say only 5 years. That's what I think we need. And if we all understand that, we are going to stop this incarceration.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. I appreciate you. We have, I'm so glad that we had this show today. I hope that people on the other side of the camera, you heard not only what he was saying out of his mind, not only what he was saying out of his mouth, but really what he said out of his heart. I would like to encourage other young people to, beyond knowing your rights and avoiding, this wicked justice system, to seek to go into law. We need more of y'all doing that. And I would encourage my oldest daughter, the way you argue, I should send your ass to law school. Thank you, Mr. Steele, for coming. I appreciate you. Should your daughters ever need us for anything, singing and dancing or encouraging their students, let us know. If you should need a favor from us, let us know. You're a friend of the show always. If there are things you just need to say, we're always here and available for you.
Thank you for letting me spend time with you.
Love
Happy holidays, everyone.
God is great.
My name's Michael Render. They call me Killer Mike. And this is Conversate. I just want to conversate. I just want to conversate, which I want to convert. Conversate. Conversate is not a real word, but I encourage questioning. I want to encourage thought. I want to conversate. I want to have discussions with people that I may not agree with or that I may not understand and try to gain perspective. I think we all should be doing that. We all should be in talk. You know, we all should be in a constant state of talking, because that's what precedes organizing and mobilizing and revolutionizing and changing things. I believe in the power of conversation. I believe in Conversate. So I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk, and I'm here to listen and learn. And I'm here to have people impress upon me different ways and thoughts and mentality. I believe in conversation. I believe in jive, talking, and rapping. What do you call it? I'm a rapper. I'm rapping. But before rappers were rapping over beats for money, I want to exchange some respect with one another. You know. So we're gonna conversate. We're gonna check it out. Yeah. Conversate with Killer Mike. Killer Mike.
Hey, y'all got a question for my crew? You want to talk to me, Bear Swift, to anybody and ask them something? I want you to come check us out at conversatewithkillermike@gmail.com. Send your questions in, send your thoughts and concerns, and we're going to make sure we get them up online, whether we discussed, talked about, and hey, we even might invite you on the show. Let's conversate.